A road trip is a great time for exploration, for encountering new, exotic creatures.
Children, into the woods.
Obviously, a weekend road trip to Shenandoah National Park is a perfect place for a wildlife vlog. Packed in our trusty minivan, we made our way up these steep mountain slopes. Of course, I was excited to stop by the side of the road and watch these pollinators work on these wildflowers. I encountered several interesting species of bees on this mountainside garden. But nectar isn't the only nourishment on the insect menu. Some creatures consider humans a bit of a delicacy.
I guess they actually do bite you.
No, shit.
Because this one is biting me.
With nature's warm welcome out of the way, we decided to get ourselves situated for the coming evening. Of course, as many millennials could tell you, the setting sun does not necessarily signal the end of the day. Clustered around the campfire, there were plenty of s'mores and fireside chats, and we weren't the only creatures enjoying this artificial light. Irresistibly attracted by our flashlights and lanterns, the insects of the forest swarmed our campsite, frantically searching for a way through the glass like junkies looking for a fix. These insects were lucky they didn't make it inside. Light bulbs get pretty hot, and burning to death is a rough way to die. Okay, so the night's horrors aside, we woke up to a fairly pleasant morning. The birds were busy singing and foraging for food, and as the sun came up, we found ourselves getting ready for a day busy with physical exertion. But before we began our day, we had to take care of some unfinished business. The melted remains of a marshmallow left over from a night of s'mores is the equivalent of a Thanksgiving dinner for this colony of ants. Unfortunately for these invertebrates, we had to throw away our food waste. We are, after all, in bear country. Fortunately, the only mammal we ran into was quite small. These rabbits were everywhere, and they often liked to not stay still when I was trying to film them. And surprisingly, I actually did not have that much time to film. We were quite busy hiking, working our ways towards the mountaintops, seeking out breathtaking views. This particular hike took us to one of Shenandoah's many rock piles. Making my way across this rough terrain, I came up to an interesting sight. I was somewhat disgusted, yet somewhat fascinated to find this lizard hanging out near a small pile of rodent droppings. Not wanting to witness coprophagia, the technical term for poop eating, I instead turned my gaze towards Shenandoah's beautiful landscape. Note, there's a 360 picture I've linked to below this video. Take a look if you have the time. In the meantime, you can keep watching this admittedly choppy footage of us walking down the mountain. Other than bees and birds, there was another organism commonly encountered during our hiking. Like two roommates living in a densely packed apartment, fungi and algae join to form these intricate structures. The algae transforms light into nutrients for the fungus, while the fungus provides protection for the algae, and for other creatures as well. Wet lichen and moss is a great place to find tardigrades, also known as water bears. Their ponderous gait gives these creatures the appearance of microscopic bears as they forage for food across vast plains of lichen. The thin film of water that covers these surfaces after every rain creates a perfect environment for these soft-bodied creatures. You know who else likes water? People. Although it does tend to make things dangerously slippery. Also, even a perfect picture can be ruined, especially if the cameraman notices a small creature entering his personal space. Fortunately, that creature happens to look pretty cool, like some sort of armored dragon. Of course, after this distraction, the cameraman couldn't just go back to taking simple photos. He had to take a closer look at the moss lining this waterfall, coming face to face with tiny mites and crystal clear nematode worms, exploring the waterlogged leaves of this moss. Of course, my attention was drawn next to the pool at the base of this waterfall. What interesting creatures could live inside? Well, it turns out that they're actually quite familiar. Insect larvae, namely mosquito larvae, were busy combing this piece of wood, looking probably for bacteria to slurp up. They need plenty of food to grow and metamorphose into the next part of their life cycle, namely pupa. These are the intermediate stage between the insect larva and the mosquito we've come to know and love. Just another reason to wear bug spray when you're roughing it in Shenandoah's woods. From the birds to the bugs to the incredibly cute bunny rabbits, I found myself enjoying the wildlife of Shenandoah quite a bit. I plan on going back again sometime soon. But for now, that's all for this week. Links to my 360 photos are below, or you can check out my YouTube, Instagram, or website to see more of my wildlife work. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week.